Hola fellas, aquí les traigo un video completamente subtitulado al español de Omni Vegito. Podrás encontrar todos los links del creador de este contenido en la descripción del video. Y ahora, disfruta.
But while this ominous threat would be looming in secret, the battle between Piccolo and Coral would be raging on some more. And the entire time, the two other fighters involved would just be watching below. As indeed, Omni Vegito and Shiva would be seen standing, arms folded, neither saying a word, like they both weren't also obliged to participate. That is, until Vegito, out the corner of his eye, would finally break the silence saying, "So, we just going to stand here and let them have all the fun? Or are we going to dance too?" To which Shiva, with a side-eye of his own, would reply, "I'm happy to oblige your death wish whenever you desire. Make the first move, and I will follow." Confident. I like it. Idiocy. I hate it. As the minute these two would exchange these words, their bodies like fading ghosts would appear to begin moving at extreme speeds until the two would instantly meet face to face, slamming their fists straight into each other. Both are motionless, however, as with their power levels increasing by the second, Omni Vegito would let out, "Maybe I was a little off with how much power you have." While Shiva would reply, "Then maybe you're less of an idiot than you appear." The result of this collision almost having a delayed effect, as their pure aura and presence would cause a perfect circular crater to miraculously appear straight under them, eventually leaving Vegito to be the one to jump back first. Let's get this show on the road! But only for an instant, as with a smirk, he would explode forward almost immediately to finally test his newly gained strength after his training. But it would seem with Shiva's fist swinging back, he too would be more than ready. Telegraphed. But when Shiva would swing his straight jab forward, leaving after images behind, Omni Vegito would make it miss entirely. But that would be until Vegito would find out that was not the only attack Shiva had thrown, as right in Vegito's face now would be the pointed end of a very large tail. The resulting strike causing a ridiculous crash on the near unbreakable ground, throwing smoke and debris everywhere. As standing motionless, as tiny rocks would rise in front of him, Shiva would whisper, "Almost. Next time, he won't be so lucky." And when we'd look from a distance from Vegito's point of view, the damage done by that simple tail smack on the stage would be considerable, immediately creating a crater like this were just any stone stage, leaving Vegito to notice and comment, "Well, that's more dangerous than it seems. What is that thing made of?" But looking forward with murderous intent, Shiva would say, "Don't get distracted, idiot. This isn't the only way this tail can attack." As in a surprise move, Shiva would then whack his tail onto the ground a second time, but with less force. Enough, however, to cause the debris of rocks around to jump up briefly into the air, surprising the Omni King momentarily until... smacking each rock individually in an instant with that same tail, shooting them forward at Vegito as he would step back in reaction.
Creative usage. You remind me a bit of Frieza.
But smiling away, thinking back to foes of the past, in a strange next move, Vegito would then plump up his cheeks, turning them into two would-be balloons before instantly blasting out as he would spit out several small energy beams that decimate every single piece of debris thrown at him. But even when Vegito would do this, Shiva would already have his next counter planned, like he had anticipated this from the start anyway, appearing right behind the mid-spitting Vegito with his giant tail flexed back again. And with another violent slash down, Shiva would crash this tail right onto open ground once more for explosive impact, as unfortunately, the Omni Devil would be missing from action once again. The destruction this time being more cataclysmic than before, causing a giant bite of ground to be smashed from existence as smoke would explode on the other side. The escaped Vegito then appearing on the other end, but looking up, he would take more notice over just what a threat Shiva was, commenting,
"That tail is far stronger than it should be. His fist was nothing special, but it feels like that tail is from somebody else. I've got to keep my wits about me with that. I don't know if I could even block it."
But as Omni Vegito would begin to strategize, he would notice in the distance, Shiva would be rising into the air and undergoing a strange change in his appearance.
Shiva, you don't disappoint. Finish this in style. Show me what the fruits of your time away has given you. Show them all what you are hiding.
As clenching his fist, Elder God Akobel would be proud of how things were going with his fighter, as he too would be aware of what Shiva was doing next. And when we'd finally see Shiva again, condensation would be coming out of his mouth, as over the right side of his face, ice would begin running across like he was slowly being frozen. And before long, this would completely change that right side, his eye turning whiter, as the entire right side would look like a block of solid ice now, with Shiva only muttering,
"Seems the only way I can make sure you stay still is if I slow you down. Hold still, this will only take a second." What's this?
And it would seem when Shiva said this, it would actually mean something, as even Vegito all the way over where he was, when he would look at his arm, the Omni Devil would sense something strange occurring.
How the hell?
As immediately Shiva's changes would no longer just affect him, as out of nowhere, now formed right over Vegito's right arm and left leg would be giant blocks of heavy ice, an ice seemingly nothing like what we would typically know on Earth.
Ready?
As just when this would happen, the distance between the two fighters would then be closed, as Shiva now would be at near point-blank range, again with his massive tail in tow.
Damn it!
And this time when Shiva would strike, the Omni King would be far too slow to dodge as he did before, struck right away, finally into the background.
Get these things off!
But as he would land, he would try to break his fall, slamming to the ground the ice blocks on his hand, hoping to break them. But unfortunately for Vegito, the ice wouldn't crack even an inch. And even more unfortunate, Shiva's next attack would already be headed for him, with his tail in the Omni King's face again. This time finding just enough time to maneuver away, even dodging a second attack through angular body movements alone.
What have you done to my arm? Pulling it out of this is harder than the Z-Sword!
But ultimately struggling wildly, Vegito would still be trying his best to get rid of these massively annoying paperweights. Trying once more to slam his iced arm onto the floor, hoping for some loosening, but it would all be in vain.
Here he comes again! Let's see if this works!
But when Shiva would come soaring in once more, the extremely intelligent Omni King would face him head on, but while lifting straight up his iced arm with a struggle.
This one will end you! I can see how slow you have become, idiot!
Screaming ahead, Shiva would strike, but when he would, Omni Vegito would block, but not with just any arm, but with seemingly the indestructible ice block Shiva himself had created.
So I was right!
As this time when Shiva would strike, Omni Vegito would not be shot back, but instead, Shiva's ice would absorb the entire impact and explode into 100 pieces.
You sneaky!
And reeling back, Shiva would notice this too quickly.
Finally!
With a quick glimpse at Shiva's reaction, Vegito would then take this opportunity to slam his other ice-stricken limb right at Shiva's tail again. And just like before, it too would shatter, freeing the Sane completely. And it would be at this time, the final concerned Elder God would be keeping watch. And ironically, seeing the struggles of Vegito would actually be pleasing this creator. As smirking away, Castiel would just think to himself, I should have never worried for brother. His creations were always going to be on another level. Even if Vegito has gotten stronger, he can barely even keep up with just this creature's tail. Brother, we'll win this soon. And in the next panel, it would seem like Castiel was right at first, as Vegito would be seen groaning in pain after now having to block with his own arms Shiva's next technique. However, this time, he wouldn't be blasted back as a result.
I'll give it to you. You're dangerous, and I don't know what else you're capable of. So it's best I stop playing around.
As suddenly now activating his Omni Devil Eyes, behind Vegito, the real throwback to his past techniques would then be revealed.
What is that?
As behind Vegito, the reason behind Vegito's non-movement after attack would then be revealed, as backing him up from behind would be his great demon wall. The same wall he brought out against Castiel to defend against even an Elder God's attacks, now used to not only help defend against Shiva, and with a roar outwards, Shiva would be pushed backwards away from the Saiyan. But things wouldn't even be ending there, as inexplicably a clawed hand would emerge from behind the wall, clamping on there like a sixth fighter was involved in the round. As finally on top, a strange head would appear and solidify still, its eyes red with a suspiciously open mouth with a glow inside. A glow that would ultimately mean just what we expected, as a giant ball of energy would immediately begin generating, full of all kinds of dark demonic energy.
Wish I could have seen what other tricks you had, but this will be less cruel. So do me a favor and follow your own advice to me. Hold still. This will be quick. As Omni Vegito, now back with those same completely red eyes he showcased against the God Killer, would point his finger slowly forward and... And with barely any time to react, a giant blast of inconceivable proportions and speed would shoot out and right towards Shiva. The Ice Warrior's face completely caught in the light in a flash, his expression saying it all about just how unexpected it would be. And so, an explosion that could not be matched by any so far in the tournament would then appear. A ball of pure energy, dwarfing the entire arena stage while swirling even outside its limits. Guess Vegito's done then. What? Shiva! You cannot be serious! As still fighting themselves, Piccolo would turn around with a smirk as Coral would freeze stunned at what he would be witnessing. When the destruction was done, the tournament stage would look nothing like it ever had before. Shiva! You cannot lose! There is no way! Vegito! As instantly standing up from his seat, Akko Bell would have his alarm bells ringing, witnessing firsthand for the first time the erasure of his own fighter. Having severely underestimated Omni Vegito, the elder god could just not believe his eyes. And neither could his younger brother Castiel, sweating profusely, as even he couldn't believe just how much stronger his own creation had gotten. And now, seen in total silence, Omni Vegito would stand back turned, looking over his destruction, completely having destroyed an entire quarter of the stage it seemed, stands included, like a giant had taken a magnificent chomp out. And here I thought, this place was supposed to be too strong for us to destroy. I guess even elder gods can't keep up with an Omni Devil. As stunningly, when Omni Vegito would finally reveal himself, he would stand with those same pure red eyes, but with a demonic horn sprouting now for the first time right out of the Omni Devil's forehead. It seemed during those 1,000 years training, the God Killer was not the only one who had mastered the Devil Gene. You can't make this up! Another devil! As of course the mysterious Prince of Hell Demigra would be the most excited of all seeing this revelation. His teeth bared sadistically just what was going on in this tournament of elder gods now. So Kazuya was right. I shouldn't be so shocked. He too has figured out the devil gene then. I'm sure that's not even as far as he can go.
Shiva, that powerful bastard, left me defeated all 800 times we fought. Not a single moment did I get the chance to catch him off guard. And that humanoid, he destroyed him in one blast. This is just a pointless struggle. If Shiva could not do this, then who else? Oh mad, Lucifer!